Well, this is John Black, Super Chemist. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, and they always say that, if we go up 1 degree in, temperature, there's going to be a chain reaction. Or if we have, so much CO2, it's going to be like a chain reaction, and then you'll never be able to stop it, and it's just going to accelerate, the process, this greenhouse effect. Okay, that ain't going to happen to you're like a 10% CO2. But my question is this, right? The Earth's temperature right now is 52.2 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So let's just say we take it up to 54 degrees, okay? So because if 1 degree is going to definitely burn us all in hell, then let's take it up to, a couple degrees. Let's take it up to 54 degrees. And CO2 right now is at 400 parts per million, okay? So 54 degrees Fahrenheit, 400 parts per million CO2. My question is this, though. And we're going to have to go back to the other chart, right? It's got the CO2, right? Oh. All right, and the CO2 is the purple, right? And I want you to see here. This is 7,000 parts per million. 7,000, and we are at 400. 400, 7,000. 400, 7,000. That's a big difference. Now, what about the temperatures? What's the highest temperature here? Let me see here. Blue is temperature. And this is about, but they didn't put any degrees on it. All right, they didn't. Son of a bitch. All right, well, let's go back here. Where's the other? Right here is 90, this line. So this is probably 95. Okay, so we have 95 degrees Fahrenheit compared to 54. 54 and what was the other one? 95. 54, 95. 54, 95. So, and let's say that, at this point in time, the CO2 wasn't at its height and it was kind of low. So let's figure that out just to make sure. All right. So this is the CO2. Let's even go to here then. At this point, you have 5,000 parts per million. 5,000. We have 400. 5,400. 5,400. Those are different numbers. Okay, that's a big number, 5,000. Okay, and at this point right here, so we're not going up to the highest point, but right here for temperature, where is it? Let's just say it's right here. Let's just say 80 degrees. Okay, 80 and 5,000. And what do we have right now that they're so scared and afraid of? They're afraid we're going to get up to 54 degrees because there's going to be a chain reaction. Well, how did we get all the way up here with our carbon dioxide and our temperature, and there was never any chain reaction then? How is there no chain reaction when it's 5,000 parts per million and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, but we're all worried about 54 degrees and 400 parts per million? And remember what I said, They always show that chart, that 800,000 years. Nah, I forget what I was going to say. But anyways, why? Does that make sense? Come on. I mean, I could see if it was, right now it's 80 degrees and 54. Maybe if it was like, I don't know, 70 even, 65 and 54. I'd be like, okay, maybe. But how is it? I mean, that's a big difference, man. We're worried about 1 degree. We are literally like, what, 25 degrees or something, like whatever. I'm so upset I can't even think. We're 25 degrees from the highest point of the CO2 and the temperature, coinciding, the both being the best, the highest, and no chain reaction. I mean, it's not, and we're worried about 1 degree, even though it was like, 40 or 50 degrees, and the CO2, it was 5,000 parts per million at the same time as 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And right now we only have 400. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Remember back in the day, back in one of them other charts, I said that flat line that was about 800,000 years, and I said that's why they used the charts, 800,000, 400, 800,000, because right after that it starts going up. You know what I mean? CO2 goes up. But that 800,000, every 50,000 years, the CO2 dipped down to, and I'll show you a chart on. I'll bring out a chart on and do it next video. But anyways, 800,000 every 50,000 years or whatever, you're having the lowest point in history of whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know, I'm getting upset, so I'm losing track here. This is just not FYI. I always find it funny because when I see someone that thinks the crisis is a big deal or whatever, they get this chart. They don't even know where they got it from. You know what I mean? And they don't realize, I don't think, they never explain it or bring it up, what this dotted line is and why everything below the dotted line is blue and everything above it. I don't think they know. You know what I mean? And I laugh because I'm like, if you had a 5-year-old looking at this, where they weren't trying to, like an adult, they're trying to figure out what's going on or whatever, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? They're thinking more scientific and whatever. But a child with a simplistic mind, you know what I mean? It's not cluttered up with science. He's just thinking about every day or whatever, you know what I mean? He comes up to that. First thing he's going to say is, oh, it's cold down here. It's too hot. It's too hot. Red is too hot. Blue means cold, too cold. You know what I mean? And you're like a 5-year-old, he'll get it before you do, the adult. Well, I want to be right here. I don't want to be too hot. I don't want to be getting scorched or anything or being frozen. It's blue. But an adult, and they'll talk about, they saying how it's so great to be here and we need to be even lower. This right here, like we said, this little ice age, the lowest point. We've never been that cold in 750 million years since snowball Earth, and all we have is this little line where we're, this is like 10,000 years or something, or 11,700 years or something like that. So we just came out of it, man. Anyways, let's see. Oh, my computer went off. And the other thing is if you go back to the CO2 is, not only do you have 95% of the time more, this whole 650 million years, 95% of the time it's been hotter than it has been today, right? So let's go to it. That also goes with this chart, though. If you look at it, this line right here, right? Look how low it is. Nothing has been lower than that. And we're right here. So if we moved our line around, you barely touched that. The only thing that's been lower than this, than us right today, is this flat line. That's it. 650 million years. Now only this little tiny inch. Doesn't that look like 5%? Okay, let's say it's 10% of this thing. So that means 90% of the time in the last 650 million years, our CO2 has been above where it is today. And combine that in with the fact that, hey, this 800,000 years right here, every 50,000 years, you dip down to 180 parts per million. You know what I mean? Because the thing, if you look at it close, if you stretch that out so that you can see more detail, that the graph would be going up and down. You know what I mean? But a straight line over. So I mean, how many times that they want, and they're taking actively trying to just spend trillions to take carbon out of the atmosphere, so that they can make it into a solid and just throw it into the lakes or whatever. Just throw it into the dirt. Like, what? This is insane. And I want to remind someone, we used to teach history. I don't understand what you would think there would be at least a few people that knew like history or whatever. These people would come out and be like, "Hey, man, because we know from history books and like literature, where people write stuff, a book about what's going on or whatever, or autobiography, biography, whatever. Storybooks and that." And sometimes, like we knew from literature that in England, that during a certain era, because that's when the book was written, that they was looking out on the orchards, and the orchards they were looking at couldn't be there. Like at that time, they didn't know it would be that warm in England to grow those plants. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be. So by seeing it in the literature, knowing when the book was written, we know that they had that plant in England. So now we know that it was warmer than we thought. You know what I mean? We didn't know it was. We thought it was colder. You know what I mean? Because when we find this out, it's before we got all this technology and stuff. You know what I mean? So that was like a new thing for us. The same way with all the other books. We've learned a lot. Stuff about temperatures and stuff like that, just from the literature and stuff, you know what I mean? And in literature, right? See, see this right here? That 800,000 years or that whatever, those peaks were the Roman Empire. I did this video like year ago, 2 years ago, and I can't remember the peaks and the valleys, but you can imagine what the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age was one of the peaks. And every time there was a peak, there was a great civilization, and these peaks, they're above us. And the ones that are below us, that's where the troughs are at. That are below us, right? Yeah, you know what that happens in it's Dark Ages. It's the Crusades. It's all the evil things that you heard about when you were a kid or in school or whatever. But all the whatever, the Dark Ages and the this and the that. Oh, yeah. Those are the troughs, and the peaks are the great civilizations to spring up, like the Empire, Roman Empire, and the this and that, the Bronze Age. You know what I mean? And it's unreal.